Okay, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Nshadow here, bringing you the hot patch note analysis. The analysis for this patch note, this set of patch notes for Season 3, is that there's hardly any analysis. Or there's hardly any, oh man, it's so hard to actually pin down exactly where the meta is going to go in terms of Joust with these changes, because so much has changed. They literally took, if you missed it, they took defensive items and completely restructured the way that they work. Now, instead of defensive items being very bloated and giving you things like health and defense at the same time, they're like, these items are specifically for defense, whereas these items are for health. These items are for, more for cooldown and utility, things like that. So it's kind of it's kind of complicated right now as to where the meta will be heading, where builds will be heading. What I like about it is that it's going to make builds much more unique and much more interesting. It's not going to be just Ming Li pick up the Nemean Lion and start charging at the enemy and diving their Phoenix anymore. It's now going to be like, what do I need against this opponent? What kind of damage are they doing mostly? Is it incredible burst damage that I need physical defense for, or is it like damage over time that more health is going to help me with, or things like that? So it's going to be pretty interesting, and I really hope that it shapes the meta in a more positive way. Of course, obviously that's always the goal. But what I'm worried about is, could this overcomplicate things drastically? Yes, it definitely might. Now there are it's like much more item trees and much more complications between them. People are going to need a lot more guidance with where to go when they start out. So I'm worried about that, but I mean, as long as people try to remain knowledgeable and really try to evaluate the game as they go along, they'll be able to stay on top of it. But should they have to do that in order to perform reasonably well? That's kind of the question for me. It seems like the game just got a lot more difficult, in my opinion, and that could be good or bad. It all depends on how you look at it. But one important thing that I wanted to note was the change for actives now called Relics. This kind of a change is very, very important for the game in general, whether it's Joust or Conquest, because in Joust, in a 1v1 scenario, you have to know your opponent and you have to know what your strengths and weaknesses are as a god and going up against the enemy god. So matchup awareness is going to be all the more important, because you're not going to be able to go into a match and decide on your relic or active, at level 10 or 12 and say, I want to get beads here because I noticed that, he's stunning me a lot and confirming a lot of damage on me like that. Instead, you're going to have to say, well, early level, am I going to value beads here, or am I going to value something like a sprint, and you're really going to have to make a lot of like forethought before going ahead and picking up one of those relics. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging builds wise, and it's going to be a lot more mentally straining, I guess. So knowledge on matchups is all the more important, and as I've been detailing a little bit, I actually have some opportunity an opportunity possibly coming up in the future that will help me get those, get builds, get matchup scenarios, get information out to you guys more, more effectively, and in a much plainer context that you can just, check it out, see how it all looks, and evaluate your matchups on like a, on a case-by-case basis. So that would be amazing. I'm very excited if it comes through, which it seems like it more than likely will. I can't wait to share it with you guys, and I can't wait to explore it with you guys. But in terms of where they went with items and things, one major factor is that ADCs, I don't see how they won't be ridiculously OP without Shield of the Underworld now. That was my big worry, was removing Shield was a great option, because removing Shield was or not removing Shield, but Shield itself was a pretty like Ming Li item where you pop it and the enemy takes damage over time for attacking you. It's kind of a silly item when you think about it. It's like a trap card in Yu-Gi-Oh! And like, should that even be in this type of a game? Things like that. It deters aggression so much, and it kind of allows for a pretty scummy style of play when you think about the applications that it has, especially that it rewards you for being hit and taking massive amounts of damage. So it's very strange, and the item was probably overall a negative for Smite in any context, but I cannot wait to see what the game mode will be like in other scenarios without it, because certain things like Poseidon, if you built a Shield of the Underworld as like a physical god against Poseidon, and you know he can't build magical defense against a physical, obviously, all of the Kraken damage returned to him as magical was not really fair, and it was not really something that he could build towards or avoid, really. Certainly because it's an instantaneous activation too. It's not like it takes a second or two to activate. As soon as he pops that Kraken, even if it's right as it's hitting you, you pop the Shield of the Underworld, he takes the damage. He can't change that unless he, like, say, aegises his own Shield of the Underworld reflected damage, which is absolutely ridiculous to even consider. So I'm glad it's gone, but I'm very worried for how ADCs, crit-based gods like ADCs and Mercury will just kind of dominate now. One good thing about the sprint change was that a lot of people were looking at it, they're like, yeah, sprint's OP now. It's like, it's 140 seconds to use sprint. Now, at all ranks, there are no more ranks of items. Trinkets, if you missed it, now start out as one way with a set cooldown, a set stat increase, and everything like that, and you cannot upgrade them. So 140 seconds sprint, 40% increase. I believe it's the same as it was at Sprint 3. But I could be wrong about that. I'm a little out of it. But and it also is tailored to increasing the movement speed of your allies around you and removing slows from all of you. So it's basically heavenly now with the 140 second cooldown. That's pretty rough because it was a 60-second cooldown. So over double the cooldown time. So I mean, for gods like Mercury that really relied on that sprint to lock down the enemy and confirm kills, it's gonna be a little bit of a hit for certain. But like I said, if crit is that prevalent and is that hard to counter, it's going to be very, very difficult. Without a Shield of the Underworld, crit just kind of dominates the game mode. Other than gods like Kronos, it's kind of it's kind of hard to answer for crit, or out DPS crit, out sustain crit, things like that. So I want to see where it goes. I was very surprised to see no changes to crit, and I'd like to see possibly some changes going forward. Hopefully Hi-Rez keeps their eyes on it and sees maybe that there is a need for something like that. But since the game mode is since the game overall is based off of Conquest and is balanced based off of Conquest, there might not be a change like that. It kind of suck, but hopefully by some miracle chance things change. And I mean, we do also have the fact that it's an early game oriented mode now, with the Fire Giant buff, things like that. Maybe before hunters get crit online, before Mercury's can really dominate with that 100 to 0 combo, they can be they can kind of be shut down in the early to mid game by stronger like assassins and possibly warriors, things like that. So we'll have to see. It might not be the end of the world, and I might be, completely overreacting to that one tidbit. But we'll have to see. I hope you guys continue this journey with me, and I hope you're as excited as I am, because with all of these changes, I am just very excited to see where the game goes more than anything, and I hope you continue to see it through with me. So remember to subscribe to the channel, all that nonsense, follow my Twitch and stuff, all the Twitter, to keep updated on me and my, what's going on with me. Where I'm at, and